Welcome back to the Abundant Harvest Homestead. I'm Papa Pepper, and there is probably a lot of things that are potentially dangerous going on right now in regard to stuff like what I got in this box, which this box would be illegal, impossible for me to receive right now. You see what's in there? That's right, cute little baby chicks. And at the moment, there's absolutely no way that the Postal Service would deliver something like this to me. And guys, that's just the start of that. So as I get started on this video, I want to point out this isn't really a fear-mongering video. It isn't just to try to scare people, but it is to provide some food for thought, some evidence, some consideration, that's things you might want to think about. Now, if you do not know, there is currently an embargo, which means it's prohibited, it's not allowed, of the United States Postal Service shipping live animals. And I think that goes through the 26th at the moment. And what happens is when something like that comes out of nowhere, we've got some issues because number one, all the big hatcheries, when they hatch their chicks, you've got about 3 days that you can have one of these kind of live off of what the egg yolk, you know, that was for the egg sac that was provided in the egg before they start needing to really have food and water. So if I hatch these, and they've got a 3-day journey, I can stick them in a box and I can mail them somewhere and they can get there 2-3 days later and they can still all be fine. And then somebody can take them out and begin to feed them and, you know, give them water and they'll be fine at that point. And when you've got a shipping embargo that comes kind of, I was blindsided by it. I'm not sure if all the hatcheries were given updates about it or words about it ahead of time. But the thing is, these guys are going to take about 21 days to hatch. So if you start some 3 weeks ago and they're hatching today and you're planning on sending them out because people are placing orders for chicks and that's how you make your money, and all of a sudden say, oh, well, we can't ship them for another couple days, or oh, we can't ship them for another week, that is a problem because then you really can't ship them. You know, one local place for us that we've gotten some is actually Jeff from Bobblehead Homestead. We got some chicks off him before, some chickens off him before, and some eggs. And he was talking about this in a recent video of his too.
One other thing to mention about the post office, since I'm on the topic, is they have put a freeze on shipping baby chicks or any live animals for 2 weeks. Until the end of February, they are no longer shipping baby chicks or live animals. And that is, it's not because of the weather, it's because they are so overloaded and backlogged with mail that they need 2 weeks to try to catch up with them falling behind on mail delivery. So it doesn't affect me, but I'm sure it's affecting some of you, and I know it's affecting the hatcheries out there that are, you know, they have these customers. You can't just undo an egg that's hatched. So, you know, they've been having to scramble to figure out how to deal with this situation. And I do want to point out that there are federal regulations which forbid anybody but the United States Postal Office from shipping baby chicks. So according to the law, the USPS was granted a monopoly on shipping baby chicks. So, you know, FedEx, UPS, nobody else can legally ship chicks in the United States. So,
and that's the danger. If you've seen over the past year, especially, a lot of things have happened to shut down a lot of businesses, a lot of big monopolies. The big box stores, certain stuff like that, fast food restaurants, they were all allowed to be opened, but the mom and pop shops, the little people, they were crushed. And one thing that I really like about hatcheries is not only that they offer up a whole lot more variety than what you can just walk into your local feed store or your local hardware store maybe and pick up some chicks. They offer a lot more variety, but they also provide people a self-sufficiency opportunity to take jurisdiction into their own hands. And that's something I think a lot of people, especially in the past year, are really waking up to. One piece of evidence of how people are really getting much more interested into having things like chickens or different small livestock and taking care of some of their own needs is I was just at the feed store the other day, and the prices there were amazing to me. It was $4.25 per chick, no matter what kind. I'd never seen that before in my life. And part of it is probably that last year, a lot more people were buying chicks. There was an interest in people saying, you know what? I can't go to the store right now and get teepee. I can't go to the store right now and get milk. I can't go to the store right now and get meat. I better take some things into my own control so that way I don't have to starve to death. That way I don't have no other option. If I have an option right now of getting something like this and I put this in my own property under my own control, then I have eggs in the future. Then I have meat in the future. So a lot of people are doing that. So that's part of probably the price hike. But then also, if you run into something like this where nobody can buy them through the mail, they're going to have to pick them up in person. And it's often kind of the way that you see things go when people are squeezed and they're put in a tight pinch, that then the prices go up. That's dangerous. So you might be thinking, okay, well, the United States Postal Service isn't going to ship any right now. Can't I just get some from UPS or FedEx? Actually, no. There is a legislated monopoly that the USPS has on shipment. So you can't get the UPS driver, you can't get the FedEx driver bringing you something like this. It is only the United States Postal Service, so when that gets shut down, you're kind of put in a tight place. And here's the interesting thing. As we approach the 1-year anniversary of 14 days to flatten the curve, I'm gonna point something out to you. If you want somebody to do something forever, you have to first get them to do it once. If you cannot get them to do something once, you will not be able to get them to do something forever. So what that means is, let's say they really don't want hatcheries to exist. There definitely are people out there who fall into the category of not wanting hatcheries to exist. So it's not that far-fetched. And they want to make sure that people's self-sufficiency is not able to be achieved, that you must be reliant upon the government. Do you remember when a lot of people were told they were non-essential, or a lot of people were told their businesses were non-essential, and then they stopped making money, so then they had to live off of the government as they gave them stimulus checks and things like that? It's not that far-fetched. So I'm just saying, be wary that if something occurs once, it very easily could happen again and again and again with higher frequency until the point that it's not allowed at all. Honestly, I can't see the future. I have no idea if that's going to happen, but I will say that there's a bill in New York right now. And an interesting thing about that is I was reading through it, and there's a good chance that because of some things in the Constitution, it wouldn't be allowed to go through. It'd be found unconstitutional. But again, a lot of things in the Constitution are not adhered to anymore at all, even though public officials, law enforcement officers, others swear an oath to uphold the Constitution. That is so far from the truth. But the thing is in New York, there's something where they were trying to ban, like permanently, the shipment of certain animals. Again, that's just one state, but if one state can do something, then all the other ones can too. You see how that works? So I'm just saying, I would definitely be wary about some of the things going on right now. Now, we just ran 48 eggs in our own incubator and hatched out, I think we got 19 that are good and alive and doing well, like these guys. And then last night, Pinky Pepper and Red Pepper just put 48 more eggs in the incubator, and they grabbed the other one and put 9 other eggs in that. There's reasons they're doing that. And I've looked at another number of different sources about exactly why. And again, people can do things without an excuse. They can do things without a reason, or at least a reason they're willing to make known. Depending on who you look at or look to as a source, as far as why the United States Postal Service is not currently shipping chicks, you may find out that it's because of the current pandemic. That's why. Another thing is that, oh, they're just so backed up still that they need time to catch up. And again, cutting just a couple shipments out, in the grand scheme of things, the amount of people ordering mail order chicks is not that huge that somehow not adding those into the mix would allow them to, catch up. I don't know. I don't see that as being really that plausible. And another one was the weather. But of course, I only chose to take off the shorts and tank top today because I was going to be out here a while. I'm in short sleeves. It's nice out. Yesterday was 76. Weather I don't know. I can't always believe the things I'm told, and again, when you find a whole bunch of different things listed by a whole bunch of different sources, you wind up with, whoa, baby. Yeah, I'll put you down. But you wind up with some things that you can't exactly believe them all, because they contradict one another, right? So what's my point, you might ask? Number one is just bringing some awareness. Understand that there is a monopoly on who can ship live animals. And I understand maybe people not getting dogs or cats or reptiles or amphibians, because those things are big. A lot of people do that. They order them, they get them shipped. I understand those aren't exactly a necessity. But if you have something that has a 3-day shipping window, from the time it hatches to the time it needs food and water where you can ship it, if you have people investing, 3 weeks to get them to that point, from the time you put the egg in the incubator till the time they hatch, and if you see how it relates to people's food supplies and their self-sufficiency, I would say that chicks would be a necessity. They would be an essential, if you want to label things that way, because I know that somehow makes a difference these days if somebody says it's essential versus non-essential, right? That's the category that they fall into, in my opinion. And then when you see things like the legislation that they're trying to push through in New York, that's further food for thought about this whole thing. Just realize there's people who do not want you to have this opportunity. Back in our native Wisconsin, as we started heading into this type of lifestyle, the house that we were in at the time was what we consider to be our forever home. We didn't plan on going anywhere else. But we found out, there was so little we could do. We were planting fruit trees, we were gardening, we were looking into getting chickens, but to have chickens in town, you could only have 4 hens, you couldn't have any roosters, and you pretty much had to apply for a yearly permit, a permission slip from the government to have them, and then you gave the authorities, being I think city officials and the police, the opportunity to show up 24/7, 365 for no reason, unannounced, to inspect things. And I'm like, boy, that's, we don't have anything to hide, but just to kind of at any moment, look out your window and all of a sudden there's people in your backyard looking at your chickens. That's not exactly the life that I want to live, I don't know. So we decided, okay, we're going to move out of the city limits. We're not going to subject ourselves to the amount of zoning laws and rules and regulations, the really lack of freedom that you'd have in that type of context. Hence, we moved to where we are now. But these are things to think about, people. Push back when they try to infringe upon your freedoms or make your freedoms something that you need permission to exercise. And by push back, I mean do what you can, working at the local level with your neighbors, with your community, with your local, legislators and politicians to get things changed, to watch out as this stuff comes down. If I was in New York right now, I would definitely be making my voice known as being in opposition to this type of stuff, and to whoever in that whole government process has a play in it, making sure that they clearly understood why I would consider these things to be a necessity. But after what I've saw about people and their jobs just getting labeled non-essential, businesses being called non-essential even though people had built them up for generations or decades or at least years, it doesn't matter. And you start seeing things like where 14 days to flatten the curve turns into a year, or even if you do everything they ever ask you to, it'll still be another, 3 or 4 years maybe before things get back to normal. Or as some people like to joke, in 20 or 30 years we should be back to normal. We gotta watch, because the world around us is rapidly changing. Opportunities for people to even just take jurisdiction over their food supplies are shrinking in a number of ways. There's places you're not allowed to have a garden. Please don't live there. Just please don't. For your sake, the sake of your family, don't live there. You need to move. You need to think about that. But I just wanted to do this video, put it out there, give you all something to think about, because I think it's dangerous. And they might say, okay, well, it's just until this date, but I've heard that before. I've heard that before with other things. So be careful, be wise, keep listening to the things going on around you. Don't take it all as truth. Not everything I shared today may come true. I hope it doesn't. I'm just throwing out there some food for thought to get people to think outside their normal box, realize, you know what? There's some people who really don't want this going on at all. So if they stop it for a moment, we gotta watch that. Push back against that. And I don't want you know, hatcheries to go under by any means. I would like to be to the point where we don't need hatcheries personally for ourselves, because we reached that level of self-sufficiency on our own homestead. But for others trying to get into that, you know, it's a lot easier for them to find a big hatchery than usually even somebody locally that has available what they would like. So hopefully this was a good video for you guys. Cute chicks. We got some in out of our incubator. We got some more going into the incubator to be coming out soon. So we're doing what we can to take care of ourselves, and then by videos like this, hopefully helping to take care of you guys too. I'll see you next time. Papa out.
Thank you for watching.